Hey, Chef Billy Parisi here with Heinen's. Thanks so much for stopping by. I want to give you a few tips on how to use up any leftover artisan breads that you have. Heinen's Bakery has such an incredible assortment of freshly baked breads, from sourdoughs all the way to baguettes. But I also understand how sometimes you're not able to use the entire loaf. So here are a few tips to help you get the most out of them. First, we're going to make some breadcrumbs. And I've got an extra loaf of olive oil bread. This would be incredible here. Whether you still have a full loaf, a couple slices, or chunks of bread, there are two ways to do this. You can add it to a food processor and process it and then bake it, or bake it first and then process it. I like to bake it while the pieces are nice and big so they don't overly brown when they're small. What I'm going to do is evenly spread them out on a sheet tray lined with parchment paper, then bake them in the oven at 350 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes or until they are firm and a little bit brown. Once they are done, I'm going to take them out and let them rest for maybe 8 to 10 minutes. Just want them to cool down. Then I'm going to transfer them to a food processor and pulse on high speed until I have beautiful breadcrumbs just like these. And think of all the different ways you can use homemade breadcrumbs. From making a chicken parmesan or even a beef spadini, these are awesome. And for my next tip, croutons are such a fantastic way to use up bread. And I've got some Heinen's harvest bread left over. All you really want to do is to cut them down into about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch size cubes. Then transfer them to a bowl. What I'm going to do here is toss them in a little bit of olive oil. And then of course I do want to season them with a little bit of salt and pepper. The next thing is totally optional, but how about some of Heinen's Italian herb blend, just to help spice it up a little bit. We're just going to sprinkle those on there and then gently toss using a rubber spatula until everything is coated. Then from there, they're evenly spread on a sheet tray lined with parchment paper and into the oven at 350 degrees. It's going to take about 25 minutes. What I do like to do is come back halfway through the cooking process, just move things around, make sure everything's evenly toasted. Then when they're done, oh my gosh, nothing like a fresh, home-baked crouton. Now these are of course great in any salad, whether it's a Caesar or even a panzanella salad. Love these. Now last but not least, I have 1 loaf of sourdough. Now sourdough is a very neutral flavored bread with a little bit of tang because of that sourdough starter that's in there, but this can be used in so many different ways. One of my favorite ways, and this is always awesome, is that I soak it in water or milk, break it down, squeeze it out, and put it into my meatloaf or meatballs. It is the most amazing way to hydrate these types of meats so that they are tender, juicy, and loaded with moisture. Nothing worse than a dried out meatloaf, and this solves that easily. You can, of course, also use it in things like bread pudding or even make crostinis out of them. And there really are so many delicious ways to use up leftover bread, and the food that always comes from them, amazing. I can't wait to see what you do with yours.